What's up, y'all? It's Jadanae here. Welcome back to my channel. Y'all, it's Thursday, which means we are this close to the weekend. Like, the week literally flew by. And I think it did that because I've been very, very productive. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, if you're happy that we made it, clap it up with me. Because, honey, anyway, y'all, I have something very important to talk to y'all about. But before I even get to that, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. And like videos, comment on them. You know, show me that you're here. I like to feel the presence of the people. I love to feel your presence. I love conversing with y'all in the comments. Like, y'all my family. One of y'all got on me the other day because I posted a 3-minute blog or vlog. She was like, you bogus for that. Like, we supposed to be, you breaking up the family. That's what she said. I sincerely apologize. I'm going to post longer vlogs. The thing is, my family already calls me JMZ, like TMZ, because I do capture all of the moments. But I told them, y'all wouldn't have any memories if it wasn't for me. Like, y'all be the ones reaching out asking for pictures and videos. How else would y'all get them if I didn't record? So they might just have to, like, you know, accept this as the new normal, that I'm going to be capturing footage for my channel. So just pray for me. Pray that they will soften their hearts toward this. I'm tired of hearing the complaining. Anyway, today I want to talk about decentering men. I don't know why I sat up there and thought about it, because I already had this planned. I'm going to talk about decentering men today. Excuse me if I pause a lot or if it seems like I'm trying to process some things, because I just came out of a very, very powerful session of intercession prayer. God was just, man, he was revealing so much. And I really felt the power of his presence here like never before. Like, I've gone into, you know, some deep intercession many times in this house. Like, sorry, that's the heat. Whether it was warfare or just prayer of thanks or whatever it was. But this time around, it just felt different. It felt different. And I think maybe it's because of what's going on in the world, what's happening spiritually in my life, in my family members' lives, what this year means to our family's legacy. Like, it's a lot that God is requiring out of me this year, and I think it will directly impact the people who came before me, even like the older generation and my family right now, and the ones who are no longer here. And just, you know, I pray a lot about the ones I'm called to. So I feel like God was just like, yes, pray. And pray I did, okay? So one of the things I actually did cover in prayer was the return of God's daughters, like the women. And men, I feel like, you know, in your own personal way, you can apply this to your life, because God cares about you as well. You know, y'all are his sons. Y'all are his sons. And so he cares deeply about your souls as well. But first and foremost, to the women, because I'm a woman as well, and we have a lot of shared experiences. I prayed real hard about God drawing y'all back to him. Anybody who has run away, anyone who feels shame and is using shame as the reason for why they're not running back when they know they should. Grief, regret, you know, distraction, whatever it might be, whatever is keeping you from God. whatever blockages there may be. I prayed for each and every one of us. So, yeah, I think it was very timely because today I will be talking about decentering men. And I think just by what I've observed on social media, men are a heavy topic. And not even in a superficial way where people are talking about them not being no good, or I want a man, I want to go on a date, I want to be treated like a princess queen or whatever, that whole thing, which is fine and dandy. Wanting romance, that's cool. But there are deeper conversations happening on all social media outlets about how men have pretty much done things to destroy women mentally, emotionally, physically, robbing them of their dignity. And by this, I mean doing things that will cause them to be vulnerable, be transparent, feel safe with them, and then completely neglecting or running away from them, ghosting them. That's the term. Ghosting them, doing things that will cause them to be embarrassed, put to shame, getting them pregnant and disappearing, using them for their homes or their money, then disappearing, dealing with multiple women at a time after claiming to be committed. Because I know a lot of them like to use the excuse, I said that I wasn't trying to take this seriously. But if you're saying that and then taking part in certain activity, intimate activity with them, and appealing to their emotions, knowing that women respond to things emotionally. We're emotional creatures. So doing all of this to appeal to that part of them, and then trying to walk away with the excuse that you said something that completely contrasted what you were doing. That's nuts. By doing stuff like that, you leave a lot of women in a state of regret and self-blame. I have seen the physical manifestation of life after dealing with a toxic man. Women who look tired, women who have lost weight, women who have literally lost their hair. And what adds insult to injury is the fact that other men who are simply observing, they're placing the blame on the women instead of holding their peers accountable. As adults, I get it. We're not responsible for anyone. But when you scream from the mountaintops, I am my brother's keeper, you should be keeping something. Okay? It shouldn't just be something that you are yelling, but you should be actively doing that. At least trying to tell him that his actions were not mature or that he was wrong. You know what I mean? Instead of turning the other cheek, acting like you didn't see anything, and then blaming the woman for what she endured and how she's choosing to respond after what happened. The posts I've seen of women who have been abused physically, emotionally, verbally, I'm already disgusted by what I'm seeing in that, because no woman, no person should have to endure abuse. But the comments, men making jokes out of what is happening to women, men questioning the validity of a woman's story. We understand that there are lies swarming around us. Everybody lying, okay? But that doesn't negate the fact that there are valid stories out there. But you putting in the comments that you possibly do or don't believe the story of the woman, you're not a lawyer, nor are you a judge. So you shouldn't be putting yourself in the position where you can be the one to determine if a woman's story is true or not. Because you've also been through some things that probably would have been easier to navigate through had you had a support system, a community of people who had your back. So, I've just been seeing a lot of war on social media. And I feel that it would be great if there was more of a united front between men and women, mature men and women who care about emotional maturity, emotional intelligence, justice, holding people accountable, being a decent human being and not saying things out the side of your neck. But that's a conversation for another day. Or even a prayer point. This is more so about what we as women can do to set ourselves apart from the negative effects of dealing with emotionally unavailable men, toxic men, undecided men. I can give you millions of examples of the dangers of dealing with men who are not ready for what you need and for what they need. Y'all seen my stories on here. I've dealt with depression because of some situations with different guys I was talking to. Dudes who were lying, literally lying for nothing. I mean, I'm talking about grown, like well over 25, lying about things that legit are minute, for real. Like, I've been stood up. I've been nagged. Dudes have tried to gaslight me. A man has tried to sexually assault me. Like, literally, and lied about that. Tried to use a picture of another woman with him to try to make it seem like we were actually actively doing things that we were not doing. But then not long after that, reaching out, trying to re-add me on Facebook. Like that type of game. Even though I haven't been in a committed relationship, I have been through some rough things with guys. But I've seen way more dysfunction in romantic relationships than I've experienced. I've seen women get abused physically. A man using his size and his rage to control the dynamics of the relationship. I've seen women get cheated on left and right. Like, I definitely can't count that. Getting women pregnant. Having whole hidden families. Putting things in the women's names. Like paying bills with the women's money. Destroying their belongings. Setting their stuff on fire. Stealing from them. Stalking them. Showing up to their houses without being invited. Just using so many intimidation tactics. Trying to lure them into settling by breadcrumbing. I'm going to put in some effort here, but I'm going to play games there. I'm going to act like I don't want you until you start moving on, and then I'm going to make your life difficult by hopping in and out of your life. I'm going to cause you some type of mental torment. I'm going to mess with your heart because I know that once you start to truly focus on your life and your purpose, you're not going to care about me. So I'm going to do as much as I can to mess with your emotions so I can make you crazy. Too crazy where you can't focus. And I have so many males around me, family, friends of family, who make light of things like that. Because what can a woman do outside of offer her body? A guy literally said that to me. What can a woman do for me outside of offer her body and sex? A woman can't do nothing for me but pleasure me. I said, oh. I don't know why women be thinking they're a prize because they're not. We the prizes. Oh, okay. And these are these are unprovoked conversations. Unprovoked conversations. You're bringing this up because it sits that heavily upon your heart. Like, that's dangerous. Women are in danger. Do you know how many women there are out there who have settled for the idea of being single and never having kids because of what they've run into with men? Like, women are settling for living alone to escape possible toxicity, to avoid going through any mental anguish. Avoidance. You're avoiding getting the life you want. You want to have children. You want marriage, but you're avoiding it because of how much anguish it can bring into your life. Almost like that idea that if I don't check his phone, then he not cheating. But if I check it, I know I'm going to find something that will destroy me emotionally. And so I'm not going to do it. Then why stay with him? So like that, women are running away from all men because of the heavy presence of those who are toxic and because of what they've gone through. Not that they gonna wait until God sends their husband, but they gonna avoid all of it. Bogus, right? So what is the solution for this? What's the solution? I know avoidance sounds absolutely easy. Avoidance sounds like effortless. I can be dismissive. I can act like men don't exist. We all can. We can all swear ourselves off of men. Close the door to romance. The possibility of kids, marriage, all that. We can close the door emotionally, turn our heads out anyway, and stop populating the earth. We could. But to my believers, is that what God wants? Is it? No. It's not. Which means that there has to be a different route we can take that will be healthier, more manageable, but it will also require for us to trust in God. Easier said than done, but it's so necessary. We have to not decenter men, but decenter our idolatry of men. Because that's what happens when you have something at the center of your heart so much and for so long. It becomes an idol. And idols, when you're going so hard for them, can eventually cause for harm to come upon your life, for you to have to endure so many things that you should have never even been exposed to. How do we decenter our worship of men? How? I got one thing. Posture your heart toward God. And I know, that could sound very cliche right now, especially to those who aren't Christian. But I'm trying to tell you, for real, what has set me apart in this season and the past season from the women in my life who have gotten completely, I don't even want to say whose lives have been sabotaged because of men, is the fact that my heart is toward someone who can never disappoint me. That's the simplest way I could put it. I have never in my life been this focused on purpose on bettering my life. I have never been this okay with missing out on things. I've never been this okay with being alone. I've never been this okay with the pressure of what God desires out of my life. There was a time where I found myself always running from purpose, always running from God calling me to submit, always running from living according to a specific standard. I've always tried to figure out why I couldn't just live a normal life and have that young love and it be me and him and we kick it and just have a good time and do whatever we want to do. I used to be so focused on that, to the point where the wrong man gained access into my life. And I found myself wondering, why do I keep experiencing the same kind of man in a different body? Now, I'm no way, shape, or form responsible for their decisions, for the things they did, their dysfunction, their lying, and just the idiot behavior I've had to encounter. But something in me kept the door open for those kinds of spirits. The lustful spirit, the greedy spirit, the perverted spirit, the angry spirit, the deceitful spirit. Something in my life kept that kind of door open. I didn't have a lock somewhere. Ask yourself, in which part of your life do you lack protection? Which part of your life is there an open door for the wrong kind of guest? The wrong kind of invitation? Because if a man senses that there is no access to you, he'll eventually back off. There are some men who they can sense if there's a way in somewhere. They can sense it. Then you got the ones who are absolutely nuts, where they're going to keep running after you even when they realize that there's no way in. But even then, that's not an excuse to let them in. But yeah, men can sense when there's an access point and when there's not. And so how do you close off those access points? It's nothing about exclaiming from the mountaintops that I am decentering men, I'm off men. Making that announcement, that don't do nothing. What is your heart saying? How does your heart look? Is your heart guarded? And if so, what is it guarded by? Is it guarded by you? Is it guarded by pride? Is it guarded by fear? Is it guarded by disappointment? Or is it guarded by God? Is God guarding your heart? Is there a hedge of protection around your heart for even those moments where you may go too far with the wrong man? But even when that ends, a guarded heart blocks you from having to be buried in the emotion of letting something like that go. A guarded heart keeps you from having to be heavy laden with regret and anger and deep sadness. A guarded heart cuts a grieving process in half. A guarded heart will even keep you from going all the way into a relationship. This man could be doing A through Z for you. And your guarded heart will be grateful. Like, okay, that's nice. But it will keep you from fully jumping in because a guarded heart also yields discernment. And again, I say, these men, they're absolutely responsible for their behavior. So no, we're not about to take responsibility for what they do and what they say or any of that. However, what we will take responsibility for is how open we are. There's a such thing as being available for what God has for you without being open for any and everything. Because even in dating and being in your romance season and whatever that is, even that requires for boundaries, for borders. Like, you cannot cross here if you don't have this, this, and that. And also, not fighting God. Because if God is saying to you that it is not your time to date yet, it is not your time to be exposed to the dating pool, to romance, to building intimacy outside of his presence, then be okay with that, because there's something he's seeing that you're not seeing. There is something he's seeing that you are not seeing. I learned that the hard way too. Thinking that I was ready for something that I absolutely was not ready for. And I found out the hard way. But had I just followed him, I would have avoided some mess. I would have avoided some mess. So hear me when I say, do not fight God about the timing of when it'll be your time. Stop fighting God. Stop putting God in a position where he has to allow your desires to manifest to teach you something. You do not want God to give you over into your desires. You don't. So I'm saying all this to say, if God is truly at the center of your heart, if God is truly at the center of your life, then there is no need to decenter men, because there will be no room for any idols. But if you feel like you need to decenter men, then there is an issue with what you're doing with the space that's in your heart. They shouldn't even have the room to become the center of your life. Because even when you do start to date, and even when you do get married, that man shouldn't be at the center of your life even then. He should be following God, and you should be following God with him. So, yeah. I'm aware that probably wasn't fully what was expected when I talked about discussing decentering men today. But I have to be honest. Like, what I'm saying has to absolutely be applicable. And it has to be something that is long lasting. It has to be long lasting. It has to be something that can be maintained. Like, I can tell you, you can decenter men by self-care and pursuing purpose and focusing on what you love and the people who love you. But all that comes as a result of you placing God at the center of your heart, giving God a full chance, going on a journey with him. That means consecration. That means closing yourself off from the world for however many seasons to truly get to know God and to truly get to know yourself through God. That is the beginning of releasing yourself of anything that you have started to idolize. There's no easy way to embark on such a journey. But the sooner you do it, the sooner you'll start to sense a shift in your heart. I'm saying it because I'm living it. Do I want to date? Do I want a relationship? Yes. But do I idolize relationships and men where I'm like, if I don't get man, come on, I just want blah, 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 blah. This man rejected me, this, that, about. Did I before? Yeah. Yeah. But this season of pruning and consecrating, that shifted everything. And there are levels to it. So you don't just consecrate and then you're done. You got to recommit and recommit and recommit and recommit. That's what the journey with God looks like. Recommitting, renewing your mind, recommitting, renewing your mind. Because we're inconsistent human beings. So you got to return to that altar a few times. And that's okay. But yeah, that's all I had to say. It's not just about decentering men. It's about centering God. Yikes. Yeah. So hopefully, y'all not too mad at me. I hope this pricked at your heart. And I hope this will activate a consecration journey for you. I hope this will introduce you to God in a different way. And I hope you will join me in making God the center of our lives. He is the focal point. Yeah. Well, before I go, if you haven't already gotten my book, if you haven't already purchased my book, head to my Etsy and purchase it for, I believe it's $15 even. It's a digital download. And I feel like it could be instrumental in your journey because it does speak about rejection. And rejection is the root of a lot of the treatment we accept from others and even from ourselves. I know that a lot of the times I stayed in situations for too long. I know that was the fruit of the rejection I was born with and encountered as a kid, So I think it's worth it to explore rejection. I wrote something about... Okay, here. I'd call rejection, especially self-rejection, a faux mask as a friend. It becomes a dangerous comfort. We get so used to its presence, convincing ourselves that playing small or holding back is safer than risking another rejection. But in reality, it traps us in a cycle of limiting beliefs, cutting us off from the fullness of who we are meant to be, who we're called to be, by the only one whose opinion matters. This false comfort keeps us from stepping into the purpose God has for us. Yeah. I think it will be very great for you to navigate through this, okay? Question: how has rejection shaped your understanding of yourself? Let's see. Write a letter to yourself or God expressing gratitude for the rejections you faced. I am so grateful for a lot of the times I was rejected by people, groups, communities, whatever I thought I wanted to be a part of. Because where I am now, I can see exactly why I shouldn't have been a part of those spaces and how destructive those opportunities could have been for me. But had I not understood rejection and how it can take shape in your heart and manifest in your actions and your feelings towards yourself, I would have never come to understand God's decision at that time. So I believe it's worth it to explore that. So yes, Etsy, digital download. If you want the physical copy, write that in the comments and I'll provide the link. If you desire more conversations like this one, let me know. I think this was really rooted in my convictions. So let me know, y'all. I love y'all so much. Thank you for the support. Hope y'all have an amazing week. Bye.